Horror flicks have long been dominated by male killers. Take Norman Bates or Hannibal Lecter, for instance. Norman might have donned his mother's clothes for his killing sprees, but at the end of the day, he was still a dude. But the thing is, the horror scene has got some seriously badass female villains shaking things up. These women are breaking necks and smashing through the gender stereotypes of the slasher world, quite often challenging the likes of Leatherface and Freddy Krueger. Some of these lethal ladies are driven by delusions and wild fantasies, while others are fueled by a deep-seated rage against the patriarchy. So, in this video, we will take you through a wild and violent ride into the world of absolutely psychotic female killers. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Asami Yamazaki, Audition, 1999. Asami Yamazaki, the main villain from the 1999 Japanese horror flick Audition, is a piece of work. Played by Ei Shina, she's a disturbed woman who's got a serious grudge against men, thanks to a rough childhood marred by sexual abuse from her stepdad. This trauma turns her into a serial killer who targets men. In fact, she associates all of these men with her past abuser, her stepdad. Much like most serial killers, Asami Yamazaki also has a pattern. She gets intimate with guys, then kidnaps, tortures, and kills them, all because she thinks they're out to hurt her like she was hurt before. Enter Shigeharu Aoyama, a middle-aged film producer looking for love. He sets up a fake audition to find a new wife, and Asami walks in, capturing his attention with her beauty. They start dating, and after a heart-to-heart where Asami shares her dark past, she asks Aoyama the big question. Does he love only her? He says yes. They spend the night together, but come morning, Asami's gone. Aoyama goes looking for her, but back at his place, Asami's already there, seething with rage after finding a picture of his late wife. She drugs his drink, and when he comes to, he's in for a horror show. He sees a mutilated man crawling out of a bag, another victim of Asami's. She feeds the guy her vomit, and then turns her attention to Aoyama, paralyzing him. Asami's convinced Aoyama doesn't really love her, and decides to punish him by sticking needles in his eyes and cutting off his foot with piano wire. Just as she's about to do more damage, Aoyama's son, Shigehiko, busts in. After a struggle, he knocks Asami down the stairs, accidentally breaking her neck and killing her. Crazy, right?
Oh, it's you. What do you want? Well?
Angela Baker, Sleepaway Camp, 1983. Angela Baker, from the 1983 slasher Sleepaway Camp, has a backstory that's pretty intense. Born Peter Baker, she witnessed her dad and sister's tragic deaths in a boating accident. Then, she's sent to live with her offbeat aunt, who decides to raise Peter as Angela, the daughter she always wanted. Angela's life at camp is no picnic, and the fact that she's forced to cross-dress takes a heavy mental toll on her. She's bullied non-stop, and guess what? The bullies start dropping like flies in some pretty gnarly ways. Angela's got a higher kill count than many famous male slashers, and she is one of the few trans characters in horror movies who made a name for themselves. Her twisted journey starts with her dad and actual sister, Angela, chilling by a lake near a summer camp. The accident wipes out her dad and injures Peter and Angela. Peter's eccentric aunt, Dr. Martha Thomas, takes him in, but insists on him living as Angela. So, Peter's life takes a dramatically wild turn as he's forced to cross-dress and take on his sister's identity. In the first Sleepaway Camp, Angela's super quiet and keeps to herself, only opening up to a few like Paul, but any romantic advances shut her down. The constant abuse at camp eventually drives her over the edge, leading to a full-on murder spree targeting her bullies. Sleepaway Camp 2 shows a more unhinged Angela. She pretends to be all better, thanks to meds, but really, she's gone off the deep end. Angela now pretends to be the cheery, helpful camp counselor, but with a really twisted sense of justice. She goes after anyone breaking her warped moral code, think smoking, cursing, or being promiscuous. By the third movie, Angela still has got her warped morals but turns more reserved and sarcastic. No one suspects Angela because she's seen as a girl. The big shocker comes when the truth about her identity is revealed, but by then, it's too late for the victims.
Is it finger-licking good?
Lola Stone, The Loved Ones, 2009. Lola Stone, aka Princess, from the 2009 movie The Loved Ones, is portrayed by Robin McLevy, who did an amazing job bringing the sheer wickedness of her character to life. Princess is practically the queen bee of school outcasts. She's got this fantasy of getting her crush, Brent, for a dance where she'd be queen. But when Brent, who's already dealing with his own stuff, turns her down, Lola flips big time. She kidnaps him and throws him into a nightmare party at her house, all set up by her equally twisted dad. Brent isn't Lola's first disappointment. She's got a whole collection of rejected dudes she's messed with, turning them into zombified rejects in her own personal horror show. This whole situation spirals from some deep-seated family issues, including some real bad vibes with her dad. I mean, yeah, she and her dad have a thing going on, but wait, it gets crazier. When Lola's dad gets taken out of the picture, she totally loses it. Her already shaky grip on sanity goes out the window, and she goes full-on psycho on a revenge spree against Brent. In a last-ditch effort, Lola tries to go after Brent's mom and girlfriend, but ends up getting run over by a cop car driven by Brent. So, really, what's the deal with Lola? She's got this creepy, incestuous thing going on with her dad, and she even took out her own mom by lobotomizing her before pouring boiling water on her brain. She's been snatching up guys, torturing them, and turning them into cannibalistic monsters for her own twisted purposes. It's even hinted she did more than just torture them. You know, she would do stuff to them.
No.
Jennifer's Body, 2009. Jennifer Check, played by Megan Fox, is your typical high school it girl from Devil's Kettle. Besties with the less popular Anita Lesnicki, aka Needy. Things take a jog to the left when they hit up Melody Lane to catch Low Shoulder, a band that's hiding a sinister secret. The lead singer, Nikolai Wolf, zeroes in on Jennifer, thinking she's the virgin they need for their satanic sacrifice to hit it big. Cue a freaky fire at the bar, and Jennifer gets whisked away in the band's van, decked out with creepy satanic stuff. They take her to the woods, tie her up, and stab her, aiming to offer her up to Satan. But of course, the film had to offer a plot twist, and it is revealed that Jennifer ain't a virgin. She comes back as a demon with some killer powers like super strength, speed, seductive charm, and a need to chow down on young dudes to stay young and hot. You know, the good old succubus. Back at Needy's place, Jennifer shows up all bloodied, scaring the bejesus out of Needy. Jennifer's now on a boy-eating spree and takes out 3 guys in town. At the prom night, Jennifer tries to seduce Needy's boyfriend, Chip, and spins lies about Needy. Chip was not interested though, so Jennifer does what she does best. She attacks and kills him at an abandoned pool. Needy storms in and finds Jennifer feeding on Chip. Chip, with his dying breath, stabs Jennifer with a pool skimmer. After Chip's heartbreaking goodbye, Needy heads to Jennifer's place, bursting in to confront her. It's a full-blown showdown. Amidst the chaos, Jennifer bites Needy, passing on some demonic mojo. Needy grabs a box cutter, marks an X on Jennifer's stomach, and in a dramatic tussle, manages to off Jennifer. Jennifer's mom walks in on this horror scene, and Needy ends up in an asylum. But hey, getting bitten by a demon comes with perks. Needy discovers she's got powers now. She busts out of the asylum, finds the sacrificial knife by the roadside, and tracks down Low Shoulder. She takes them out with the same knife they used on Jennifer, settling the score.
Nobody move!
Tiffany Valentine, Bride of Chucky. Tiffany Valentine, brought to life by Jennifer Tilly in the Chucky series, was by all means one of the most twisted yet alluring female killers of all time. Before she became a killer doll, she was the girlfriend of the infamous Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky, and was right there with him in his crime spree. In Bride of Chucky, she dabbles in voodoo to bring Chucky's good guy doll back to life, only to end up as a bride doll herself, thanks to Chucky's deadly antics. Tiffany's got this punk rock, dominatrix vibe as a doll, which makes her pretty scarier than most human slashers, and she and Chucky somehow end up having a doll baby. If someone didn't find this bizarre, it's because they are bizarre. Tiffany Valentine is pretty much Chucky's match. She's crude, she's immoral, and loves a good killing spree. A pro in voodoo and a genius at plotting murders, Tiffany's got a dark side and a thing for goth style, but she's not all violent and deadly. She's also part hopeless romantic, part brainy, with a feminist streak. But then again, Tiffany has got herself a short fuse and a complicated relationship with remorse. Despite trying to ditch her murderous ways and seed of Chucky, especially after discovering she's got a son, Tiffany struggles big time. She tries to get Chucky on board with changing, but that doesn't go well, especially when Chucky starts messing with her kid. By the 6th film, it looks like her old habits are back in full swing. Tiffany's character is layered. She's got this ordinary side that makes her relatable, but also super dangerous. Her love-hate thing with Chucky is complex. She helps him with his evil plans, but gets frustrated when he backstabs her. She's got this internal struggle, trying to be better, but can't seem to shake her love for killing or for Chucky. Pamela Vorhees, Friday the 13th, 1980. At just 16, Pamela was forcibly impregnated by an unnamed man. She found temporary solace in Elias Vorhees. But Elias was no knight in shining armor. He was abusive towards Pamela and her unborn child. Driven to the edge, Pamela took matters into her own hands and killed Elias. Seeking a fresh start, she moved to New Jersey and landed a gig as a diner cook, all while expecting her baby. It was David and Louise Christie who offered Pamela a new job as a camp cook at Camp Crystal Lake. Pamela jumped at the chance. She moved into a place provided by the Christies and gave birth to her son Jason. Keeping Jason close, she became a part-time overseer of his activities at the camp. But tragedy struck in the summer of 1957. While Pamela was busy, camp counselors Barry Jackson and Claudette Hayes, who were supposed to be watching Jason, were neglectful. The 11-year-old boy was said to have drowned, and it left Pamela devastated and burning for revenge. The counselors faced no consequences, which further fueled Pamela's anger. In 1958, a grieving Pamela returned to Camp Crystal Lake, seeking closure. But what transpired was a night of horror. Barry and Claudette, the negligent counselors, were brutally murdered. The camp was shut down, deemed too dangerous, with a murderer on the loose. For years, Pamela Vorhees played the role of a saboteur, keeping the camp closed through various sinister means. She became the architect of the legend of Camp Blood and the curse of Crystal Lake. In 1979, Steve Christie, son of David and Louise, decided to reopen the camp. Now 49, Pamela masqueraded as a harmless elderly woman. She picked up hitchhiker Annie Phillips, only to later murder her. One by one, she methodically killed future counselors: Ned, Jack, Marcy, Steve, Bill, and Brenda in a spree. The final scuffle happened with Alice Hardy, the lone survivor. Pamela reveals her identity and her tragic past before attacking Alice in a fit of rage. In a desperate fight, Alice grabbed Pamela's machete and beheaded her, putting an end to the nightmare at Camp Crystal Lake.
You did it! You did it! You did it! You did it! You murdered my misery!
Annie Wilkes, Kathy Bates, Misery, 1990. Annie Wilkes, the villain of Stephen King's Misery and its film adaptation, played by Kathy Bates, is a character you can't easily forget. At first glance, she comes off as this kind-hearted, caring nurse, the sort of person you trust in a pinch. But boy, does that image crumble fast. Annie's not just a fan of her favorite author, Paul Sheldon. She's obsessed to a dangerous degree. Annie's got a pet pig named Misery, named after her favorite book character. But her love for Misery is the least of her quirks. She's got a dark past because it was riddled with the murders of her father, a roommate, and a string of patients and infants during her nursing career. Bates nailed the role and even won an Oscar for it. In the movie, Annie's dealing with a whole cocktail of mental health issues. Forensic psychologist Dr. Reed Malloy broke it down to bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder with a mix of schizoid, schizotypal, obsessive-compulsive, and sadomasochistic features. This complex mix makes her a classic case of someone who might obsess over celebrities. Annie's moods are like a roller coaster. She can flip from sweet and charming to explosively angry in a heartbeat. She's deeply religious and believes she's on a mission from God. Classic signs of schizophrenia. Don't even think about swearing around her unless you want to see her lose it. Though she drops her no profanity rule in the heat of the moment, she's got these huge mood swings, self-harm tendencies, and moments of rage, pointing to borderline personality disorder. Annie's a loner, prone to depression, and has moments where she's thinking about ending it all. She's also a bit of an obsessive control freak, needing to have power over others. Annie's relationship with reality is shaky at best. She's way too into Sheldon's Misery series, blurring the lines between fiction and real life. Despite some moments where she might seem a bit slow, Annie's smart, perceptive, and can outthink you if you're not careful. X, Pearl. In X, and its prequel Pearl, directed by Ty West, Pearl's twisted psyche comes up as something truly demented. It's not just adult Pearl's jealousy of a porn crew's lifestyle that triggers her killing spree, but something much darker rooted in her past. Turns out, Pearl's been on this dark path since her childhood. The post-credits trailer of Pearl gives us a glimpse of young Pearl's envy-fueled rage, which of course means that her murderous ways started way back. In X, Pearl's envy is more about missing her youth than anything else. She watches RJ's young and lively crew and wants what they have, which leads her to kill them. It's a theme that's explored further in Pearl, where we see a younger version of her lusting over the lives of others, foreshadowing her violent actions. A big theme in both films is religion. Yes, it's a backdrop, but it's also a critical part of the characters' lives. Maxine, played by Mia Goth in X, turns out to be a televangelist daughter, which is a neat twist considering Pearl's past. Young Pearl was a lot like Maxine, and both Pearl and her husband Howard are portrayed as devout Christians, despite their leanings towards murder. Ty West doesn't shy away from exploring how religion intertwines with desire and sin in these characters' lives. Maxine's declaration that she won't accept a life she doesn't deserve, a line inspired by a Bible verse, mirrors Pearl's twisted take on desire and sin. Rose. Rabid 1977. In the 1977 horror flick Rabid, directed by David Cronenberg, Rose is played by Marilyn Chambers. She's a serial killer, yes, but she's more of a horror movie protagonist than a villain. After a nasty motorcycle crash, Rose undergoes a novel surgery to fix her skin and organs. But of course, there has to be a catch, right? The surgery turns her into a sort of vampire. She begins to crave human blood and develops a creepy red stinger under her arm. Rose's victims, once bitten or stung, transform into zombie-like creatures, foaming blue at the mouth and crazed for human blood. This kinda sparks a terrifying epidemic across Montreal and Quebec. Despite the chaos she causes, Rose is more than just a monster. She starts off as a genuinely good, smart, and caring person. She's devoted to her boyfriend, Hart, and her best friend, Mindy. Post-transformation, though, she becomes more seductive and mysterious, either unaware or indifferent to the horror she is unleashing. As the story moves forward, Rose's character evolves. She seems cold and ruthless, driven by her need for blood, but she struggles with her actions, especially around Mindy. Her inner conflict peaks when she kills and infects Mindy, which shows how her urges can overpower her sense of right and wrong. The climax hits when Rose reunites with Hart. He tries to stop her, pleading for her to get help because he realizes that she's the source of the epidemic. In a dramatic twist, Rose knocks him down a flight of stairs, but instead of attacking him, she holds back. Her love for Hart's stronger than her bloodlust. She even tries to prove she's not the cause of the outbreak, which ends in her tragic end at the hands of an infected man she tries to use as proof. Beverly Sutphin, Serial Mom, 1994. In Serial Mom, a 1994 dark comedy, Beverly Sutphin is an average Baltimore housewife. At least that's what she looks like on the outside. Married to dentist Dr. Eugene Sutphin and mom to two teens, Misty and Chip, Beverly seems like a picture-perfect, friendly suburban mom, but there's more to her than meets the eye. Yep, I did not need to throw in a Transformers reference, but anyway, Beverly's got a hair-trigger temper, especially when she feels her family's been wronged. Her first flip-out happens over a stolen parking spot, leading her to obsessively harass her neighbor, Dottie Hinkle, with crude phone calls. Then, Beverly's dark side really shows. When her son's math teacher suggests therapy for Chip, Beverly snaps, mowing him down with her car. This, in turn, starts a bizarre killing spree. She whacks her daughter's cheating ex with a fireplace poker, and anyone else she deems an enemy of her family. Beverly's trial is a spectacle. She's slick, manipulating witnesses left and right, and ends up walking free. But her dark impulses don't stop there. In a wicked final act, she attacks a juror for committing a fashion faux pas, wearing white after Labor Day. On the surface, Beverly's all smiles and charm, but beneath that, she's got a major temper and an obsession with serial killers. She's not just a reader of true crime novels. She's got connections with infamous killers, including Ted Bundy. Serial Mom paints Beverly as a suburban mom with a lethal twist, balancing a cheery facade with a dangerous, vengeful streak.
Oh, stand up.
Carrie White, Carrie, 2013. In this modern take on Stephen King's Carrie, the story starts with a high school scene. Carrie misses a volleyball shot during pool class, and the ball accidentally hits Sue. She laughs it off, but Chris isn't so kind and mocks Carrie. The real drama starts in the showers when Carrie, clueless about periods due to her mom's lack of the talk, freaks out thinking she's dying. The girls, far from sympathetic, pelt her with tampons. Chris even films the meltdown. Miss Desjardins tries to calm Carrie, but with a slap, which in turn triggers Carrie's telekinetic powers by putting out a light. Carrie's uber-religious mom, Margaret, believes menstruation is a sin and shoves Carrie into a prayer closet. Inside, the door cracks, hinting at Carrie's newfound telekinetic abilities. She starts researching this power, practicing at home. At school, Tommy asks Carrie to prom, but she bolts, thinking it's a prank. Later, Carrie decides to give prom a shot and even confronts her mom about it. Her mom's against it, but Carrie flexes her telekinetic muscles, suspending furniture and her mom in the air, insisting she's going to prom. At the prom, she's living her best life until Chris dumps pig's blood on her. Shocked and humiliated, especially by the video of her shower incident playing, Carrie's inner fury erupts. She unleashes a telekinetic storm, causing chaos and destruction in the gym, and accidentally kills Tommy with the blood bucket. She electrocutes people, sets Tina on fire, and spares Miss Desjardins by throwing her onto the stage. The school goes up in flames, and she floats out. Outside, Carrie confronts Chris and Billy. They try to run her over, but she stops the car, kills Billy, and traps Chris. The car flies into a gas station, where Chris dies from injuries. Back home, Carrie finds her mom has escaped, who later stabs her, and in self-defense, she crucifies her mom with household objects. Filled with regret, Carrie tries to save her, but it's too late. As Sue arrives, Carrie realizes Sue's innocence and tells her about her unborn daughter before dying as her house sinks into the ground, but the last scene hints that she might still be alive.
No, you don't have to do this.
Get down.
You don't.
Eileen Wars in Monster, 2003. Eileen Wars' story is a tragic and complex one, dubbed as the first female serial killer in the US, which isn't entirely accurate. Her life was a series of hardships from the get-go. She grew up in a terribly abusive environment, enduring beatings and sexual assault from her father and boys in her neighborhood. By 13, she was pushed into prostitution. Living on the streets, Eileen's rates as a prostitute varied, but her life took a turn when she met Selby Wall at a bar. This meeting stopped Eileen from contemplating suicide. Seeing Selby as a sign of hope, the two quickly formed a bond, with Eileen becoming protective of Selby after learning she was disowned for being a lesbian. Their relationship turned romantic, and they found solace in each other. But things spiraled after Eileen was assaulted by a client. She killed him in self-defense and vowed to leave prostitution. However, joblessness pushed her back, and fear led her to kill her clients, believing they might harm her like her first assaulter. She felt sorry for one man who was new to hiring prostitutes. Eileen used her victims' money to provide for herself and Selby. Eileen's life took its darkest turn when she killed a kind man who offered her help. This was the only murder she regretted. Eventually, she confessed everything to Selby, but when the law caught up, Eileen sent Selby away, sacrificing her freedom for Selby's safety. Their last conversation was over the phone from prison, where Eileen realized Selby was working with the police. Betrayed again, Eileen still took all the blame. Selby testified against her, but Eileen stayed truthful, protecting Selby until the end. Sentenced to death and dragged out of court cursing, Eileen was executed on October 9, 2002, after 12 years on death row. Her final act was to ensure Selby, the only person she ever truly cared for, and who cared for her, got a chance at the life Eileen never had. Mother Martha in Deep Red, 1975. In the 1975 Italian horror thriller Deep Red, directed by Dario Argento, Marta Manganello is the main villain. She was portrayed by Clara Calamai, but Argento himself played her killer hands, and Cecily Brown voiced her in English. Marta, once an actress, is haunted by her past. She killed her overbearing husband and tried to move on, but things spiral out of control decades later. She's dragged into a murder spree, desperately trying to keep her dark secret under wraps. Giordani, a psychiatry professor investigating the murders, had a theory about Marta. He pegged her as a paranoid schizophrenic, seemingly normal in daily life, but prone to snaps of insanity, triggered by her traumatic past. Although he never figured out Marta was the killer, his hunch about her dual nature was spot on. Marta managed to lead a somewhat normal life post-husband's murder. She used her acting skills to mask her true self, especially around Mark Daly, coming off as a friendly, scatterbrained host. But when memories of her first kill surfaced, Marta's demeanor changed drastically. She'd feel sick, slip into depression, and sometimes listen to a children's song from the night of her husband's murder to stoke her murderous rage. But this wasn't always necessary. She tried to kill Mark twice without this trigger. Marta's fascination with toys added to her eerie persona. She collected marbles, dolls, and even macabre figures like dancers, hanged with beheaded children and demons. Before a murder, she'd engage in a strange ritual with her trinkets and aptly black eyeliner, adding to her chilling pre-kill routine. So, that was all for this one. But if it's horror you like, Marvelous Videos is your channel. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe.